what would I like people to take away from this movie? The want and need to search for merchandise.
You haven't said that one before, that's good.
Yeah.
I'm Robbie Williams. I'm one of the biggest pop stars in the world. This is my story, but I'm not going to tell it in an ordinary way because I don't see myself how others see me. For the next 2 hours, your ass is mine!
So first of all, could you please tell us about how this film came about and most importantly, why the monkey?
It came about because...
of my incredibly interest in life?
Almost. Mostly because Rob helped me out on The Greatest Showman, and after that we then started talking more regularly, and as you do when you meet someone for the first time, they ask you questions about your life, you ask them questions about their life, and he had a very interesting life, and it was something that I just wanted to capture. It wasn't actually even for a film. I just thought the stories of Rob's life and the way he specifically told them would be an amazing thing to record. And so that's what we just did over the course of a year and a half. We just sat at Rob's place in LA, and he would just talk into the microphone, and we would capture these audio accounts of his life. And then from that, when we started talking about making it a film, it was about how to frame that in an original way, or something, how to lens it in a way that was more interesting. And that's when I came up with the monkey. But that again goes back to those recordings, because in those recordings, Rob often talks about being a performing monkey. What makes Rob the Greatest Showman? I have no idea. I think it is just, what is that quality about someone that, has people drawn to them? There is something, and I really don't like saying this sitting next to him, but there is something about him that people are really attracted to. And we were really fortunate that we found Jono Davies. Jono Davies perfectly captured that incredible energy and that playfulness and that charisma, and all of that is such a hard thing to put on someone. And I think Jono just did an astounding job of portraying Rob through the ages, not just Rob as he is now, but Rob, as a teenager with a more high-pitched voice. Do you have a teenage high-pitched voice?
Hi, I'm Robbie Williams and I'm from Stoke-on-Trent. Yeah, I've just joined Take That and it's a load of fun.
So that guy, all the way through to Robbie when he was performing at Royal Albert Hall, which is where we finished the film.
Robbie, there are some very vulnerable moments in this film as well. Were you ever unsure about including anything that ultimately made it in?
No. I was actually worried about taking too much stuff out. Also, I get the pleasure and the honour of my story arc being not at the end, but at this bit where I've traversed all of that. And I can say that's what happened, and this is who I am now. And that's a joy.
What was the selection process like in terms of choosing which songs made it into the film? And did you guys ever have any fights over which ones should be in or out?
Michael Gracey, director.
Yeah.
And just went, you do that. Because, if people are hiring Robbie Williams, no one's coming and having a meeting before I do a show going, okay, so what we really need you to do, piss off and, let him do his thing. So he did.
Yeah, and the songs were based on narrative. So Simon Gleason and Oliver Cole and myself would sit down, and based on the story, we would look at those moments and say, what's needed in this moment. And then it was about choosing songs that lyrically or tonally captured that emotion. I always say you sing when words no longer suffice. So the narrative should take you up to a high point where you can only express yourself in song, or down to a low point where you can only express yourself in song. So with that in mind, we sort of had these tentpole moments that we knew we had to associate with a song. And then it was just about finding the most appropriate.
What was the most challenging or the most rewarding musical sequence to film?
Most challenging was Regent Street. That was a year and a half in organising it, and then right before we were about to film, the Queen passed away, and so we lost the money that we'd spent, and we had to raise that money again, and we had to try and organise after the funeral and after the coronation to get back onto Regent Street. The other one that was an enormous amount of rehearsal was She's the One, and it's incredibly satisfying watching that, because I think it's a very emotional piece. I think it's just beautifully done, and Ashley Wallen, who did the choreography, and Jenny Griffin, his assistant, the two of them danced that number, you know, over and over and over again until we got it just right.
Once I'd seen the final cut of the film for the first time, I was elated because in my mind I'd already got it as being this incredible piece of cinema. Of course it is. It's going to beat Michael Gracey. And then I sat down and my hands grabbed the seat. Oh my God, what if it isn't? And then it surpassed even my grandiose idea of what this film could be.
What people take away is actually really interesting, because they can pick up on just one line in one moment, and it can mean the world to them. And I think that's really that's one of the great things about cinema, is that it's a shared experience, and people really it speaks to people in unique ways. But I think that it's one of acceptance and forgiveness, and that's not just for others; it's also for yourself.
I'm